We're going to start off the show with some major disappointment. You already know the Detroit Red Wings, who have been completely failing lately. F. They get an F grade for March again. And at this point, you know, we're into April. Do you really expect anything different in the last 8 games of the season here in April? 5-1 last night loss to the Pittsburgh Penguins, another team that's jammed right in there in the midst of the crazy Eastern Conference playoff picture. And one thing that's really apparent to me is, man, it just seems like this entire Red Wings team, they just don't have it. They just don't have it anymore. They've completely lost that mojo that they had from December and January. They've completely lost it. And I mentioned that's been a problem with this Red Wings team the last several seasons, specifically 3 to 4 seasons. They go red hot for entire months at a time and then ice cold for entire months at a time. And we saw from December and January, the Red Wings played like a top 2 team, a top 2 or 3 team in the Eastern Conference. They were amazing. They were consistently winning games, and it seemed like anytime they were losing, they were still at least forcing overtime. They were at least salvaging points out of it. Not really going on, they didn't ever, for that matter, go on losing streaks. They just consistently were playing good hockey. And then the team started to stumble a little bit going into the Olympic break, and then those issues continued out of the Olympic break. Team losing a bunch of games, of course, had a chunk in there where Dylan Larkin was injured. We had Andrew Kopp injured for a little bit there as well. These injuries really adding up in that stretch. And then it seems like now with the team fully healthy, that chemistry is just completely gone. The team it's just not playing together. They don't look like they're playing hard. Last night's game, case in point, it just looks like the Penguins just wanted this. And that's been the thing with all the teams that the Red Wings have been playing against lately. These teams that they're directly competing with for valuable points heading into the playoffs, these other teams are like, yeah, we want to be in the playoffs. We want to be here. But the Red Wings are just like, if we make it, we make it. And if not, trust the Yzer plan. Nah. So, but yeah, last night, it was really apparent there. The first couple of minutes of the first period, just Pittsburgh playing hard. The Red Wings not really getting any time in the offensive zone. Granted, that was the case in this specific matchup between the Red Wings and the Penguins. That seems to be just a pretty bad matchup in general for the Red Wings. Started the calendar year of 2026 back in January with back-to-back losses to the Penguins, and specifically that second loss at home, 4-1. The Penguins really prevented the Red Wings from doing anything. Really, they get it into the zone and they can't even get a shot. Dump and chase, which is what this Red Wings team does a lot, just doesn't work at all against this Pittsburgh team. And Pittsburgh, they're getting pucks to the net, getting bodies in front, pressuring Gibson. Speaking of John Gibson, too, man, the Red Wings have absolutely run this guy into the ground. He looks tired, and I don't blame him. They've gone pretty much exclusively with John Gibson starting in net for the last month. They're just like, all right, it's the home stretch. You've been our number one guy. Got to get it done, and he just looks worn out. But do I blame him? No. It's a lot. Give the guy a night off every now and then, but that just shows the faith that this team has in Cam Talbot, which is zero. As a matter of fact, Talbot had to come in to take over for John Gibson last night because John Gibson can't finish the game. He's exhausted. He's getting lit up. He's still making a lot of good saves, but there's a couple of saves that have been happening lately. I should say save opportunities lately that he would normally be getting the stop of, but these goals are getting passed. I think the third goal of the first period is a good indication. Shinnikov, who's had a phenomenal season with the Penguins, by the way, he had, coming into the zone, just a shot, honestly. Just a shot, just deflected off of Mo Seider's leg. So, yeah, did have a deflection, but, I mean, just, man. Shots like that, case in point. You got to stop that. But, again, I don't blame him because he's a huge part of why this team is anywhere near where they're at right now. But the team is just running him into the ground. But, yeah, 3-0 at the end of the first period. Red Wings did get a quick goal in the second power play goal with Dylan Larkin on a nice rebound on a Patrick Kane shot. But, yeah, Otherwise, Pittsburgh, they wanted it. And that's been a common theme with teams the last 2 weeks. These other teams just want it more. That's now 4 out of the last 5 games that the Red Wings lose. And not only do they lose in regulation. So that's 5 games. You get 2 points out of 10 possible points in these last 5 games. You get 2, and all 5 of them are against teams you're directly competing with for playoff positioning. I mean, thankfully, some of these other teams have also lost last night in regulation, so that at least helps a tiny bit. I mean, now you got the Capitals who have won 3 straight. They've vaulted themselves into the picture as well. But the Senators, Flyers, and Blue Jackets all losing last night. So everybody stays 2 points behind the Columbus Blue Jackets for the last spot in the wild card. Islanders also losing last night, who also factors into the top 3 standings of the Metropolitan Division. Can we talk about that for a moment as well? How stupid this playoff format is for the NHL. I get it. You want to have more of an importance in your division games. But as I've said time and time again, the putrid division that is the Pacific Division in the Western Conference. You're going to have teams that really don't deserve to be in the playoffs that are going to be playing in the playoffs. Now, at this point, some of those teams have been winning games. The Oilers, for example, they are on a 4-game winning streak themselves. Vegas Golden Knights recently firing their head coach, trying to get some momentum after that. But for a moment there, you had some of these teams, Red Wings included, teams that were out of the playoffs in the Eastern Conference that would have been number 1 in that division. And I know East, West, whatever. But, man, that's still just embarrassing. That not only do you have some of those teams that are going to get technically higher playoff seeds than they would otherwise deserve just because their whole division is awful, but you also are going to have 2 of the best teams in the NHL, the Stars and the Wild. You're going to guaranteed have one of those teams eliminated in the first round, because how it works is the number 1 team in each division plays against the wild card teams, and then the 2 and 3 seeds in each division play each other. And that Central Division, very top heavy with those top 3 teams, the Avs, Stars, and Wild. Avs, they're likely going to finish number 1 in that division, so it's going to be the Stars and the Wild, guaranteed at this point, playing in the first round of the playoffs. So how embarrassing is that? It's just ridiculous. Anyways, that's besides the point. I'm in a ranting mood today. That's what this Red Wings team has driven me towards. And even with the Red Wings losing these games, they are getting some of these breaks with some of these other teams around them also losing. But, man, just the missed opportunities. It's like, hey, just win these freaking games, and you're in it. I keep going back to those 2 regulation games that the Red Wings lost to the Florida Panthers earlier in March. Just leaving a bad taste in my mouth at the time, and then just as time goes on, as the season starts to wind down, seeing that the Red Wings are 2 points out, but you blew 4 points right there easily. And some of these other games, like, man, come on. Just, it's embarrassing, quite frankly, that the Red Wings were a top caliber team in the Eastern Conference for pretty much the majority of the season, at least the middle portion of the season. And then now we're back to the same old problems that plagued this team last year, where they just, they're getting straight up out-hustled, outplayed by these other teams. They look completely different to how they did just, 2 months ago. Look like a completely different hockey team. And not that the Red Wings have the goaltending problems this season that they've had in the last couple of seasons. I mean, they've kind of forced it with forcing John Gibson to have this level of a workload at his age, too. And now you've pretty much worn out John Gibson's effectiveness. So, yeah, frustrating. Frustrating one last night for the Red Wings against the Pittsburgh Penguins. Lose all 3 matchups to Pittsburgh this season. They have tonight off, and it looks like none of the other teams the Red Wings are competing with in the playoffs, none of those teams are playing tonight. So the Red Wings' next game will be on Thursday. A team that they're tied with. A team that just beat them as well, the Flyers. On the road, too. Got to get that win. And meanwhile, some of those other games we're monitoring, Penguins and Lightning, Blue Jackets, Hurricanes, Sabres, Senators, more of these big games, Canadians, Rangers. Pretty much all these other games are important. And that's just what stinks. The Red Wings controlled their own destiny for the majority of the season, but then now, the last basically 3 weeks of the season, you're already in this situation that not only do you have to get the job done yourself, but you also have to bank on other teams losing. And at the end of the day, some of the teams around them have been losing, but the Red Wings themselves have not been getting the job done. And they're running out of time to do it. 8 games left. I said going into last game, I truly think this team needs to win 7 of their last 9. And they already blew that chance last night for one of those. So guess what? I still maintain they need to win 7 of their last 8 games. They can only afford one more loss, in my opinion, the rest of the way, or else your playoff chances are pretty much shot at that point. So very disappointing. Shaping up to be yet another very disappointing season for the Detroit Red Wings. Of course, it is not over. A lot of hockey yet to be played, but the way they've been playing lately, not doing us any favors in terms of instilling any confidence.
If you missed today's installment of On the Docket, podcast it at foxsports1019.com or wherever you get your podcasts. Be sure to tune in live weekdays at noon on Jackson's Fox Sports 101.9 FM.